We continue in this Gospel of Luke throughout this season to try to understand, as the evangelist leads us along the way, what it really means to believe and to have faith. We first of all notice that these lepers are traveling together. They have a commonality in their weakness, in their illness, in their suffering. And even though one of them is a Samaritan, a foreigner, and even considered by the people at that time a sinner, he still joins them. It's a reminder that, in fact, each one of us in life, along the pilgrimage that we take, are to be open to the fact that we are united in our own sinfulness, in our weaknesses, in our need for healing of God. That's why it's so important at the beginning of every Mass that we stand shoulder to shoulder and say, I confess my sins. It's a reminder that, in fact, even though there are differences among us, the way that we look at life, the moments in which maybe we differ in the workplace or in society, even deeper is that unity that we share in our common need for God's mercy, healing, and forgiveness. I think that's so very important because sometimes we hear those who raise their voices who want to very easily exclude and marginalize others, pointing out their failings and at the same time looking at the splinter in another's eye and ignoring the plank in our own, as Jesus puts it elsewhere. So it's very important to have the kind of faith that allows us to see the unity that we share as we are in the same pilgrim way, making sure that, in fact, we respect one another, we have concern for one another, and we are never haughty about our own status in life. But what's also very clear in this text is that it is only this Samaritan who comes back and offers thanks. But he doesn't just offer thanks. He comes and he puts himself at the feet of Jesus. He encounters Jesus. He allows his thanksgiving to move him into a relationship with Jesus. That's so important for us as well in our own lives. No doubt we pray for a lot of things. We would like to be healed from our illnesses, or maybe have God's help in a very thorny issue in our life that seems to weigh us down. Whenever those prayers are answered, however they're answered, the end result cannot just be the solution of a problem, the healing of a wound, but it should always draw us closer in an intimate relationship with Jesus, to get to know him more, to see that the Lord has used that healing power of his in our lives so that we can draw closer to him. That's so very important, that each one of our lives, as we go along our own pilgrim way, whenever we have an answer to our prayers, that Jesus wants us to draw closer to him. That's so important. We do that in the Mass, in the Eucharist that we celebrate. We, in many ways, join Jesus in his suffering, reminding ourselves that we can do so because we're all suffering, and we're all one with him in that regard. But even more so, as he gives us his sacrificial body and blood, by which he won for us salvation on the cross, it's an opportunity for us to really be in communion with him, in communion with each other, because that is all that he ever wanted. He did not come into the world to just save us from suffering and death and illness, but he came into the world asking that we, in fact, put him at the center of our lives. And when we do that, then we really do have faith, a faith that no longer depends just on ourselves, but on the realization that the Lord is with us in every moment of our lives. That is where true healing takes place. That is why Jesus says to this man at the end, "It is your faith that has healed you, that has saved you." So today, as we continue in the Eucharist and we celebrate joining in the suffering of Jesus, our own suffering, realizing that we are all pilgrims along the way and never should be judgmental of another or exclude another, it's also an opportunity to give thanks to God for the healing that He has given us, for the answers to our prayers, and not just go off on our own way, but rather see it as an opening, a moment in which we really put Jesus at the center of our lives, that we have faith that He's with us every step of the way. And it is, as that man learned, a faith that saves us.